This is James Quick Killers, the Fighting Cowboy. You watching the RSR Video Email Bag Show with Bad Brad Berkwitt. It's a knockout.
Hi, this is Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and you're watching RSR Video Email Bag Show with your host, Bad Brad. Now, at this point, Bad Brad wants me to say, forget about it, but I'm not going to say it because it's stupid. I mean, come on now. Brad, what are you doing? You think you're some half-assed wise guy or what? So I'm not saying it, okay? Forget about it. I'm not saying it.
Hi, this is Sean O'Grady. You're watching the RSR Video Email Bag Show with Bad Brad. Forget about it.
Hello, this is Jackie Lopez, and you are watching the RSR Video Email Bag Show with Bad
Hi,
Brad.
this is Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, and you're watching the Ringside Report Video Email Bag Show with my main man, Bad Brad Berkwitt. Forget about it.
I got a little gift for you. Now, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Look at that. See that? This is the favorite thing that I have on this earth. And Rocky Marciano gave me that. You know what it was? His cufflink. Huh? And now I'm giving it to you. And it's got to be like an angel on your shoulder, see? And if you ever get hurt and you feel that you're going down, this little angel is going to whisper in your ear. He's going to say, "Get up, you son of a bitch." Because Mickey loves you. Okay?
Thanks, Mick.
All right.
I love you too.
See this here? Go after him, kid. Go ahead.
Thanks. You was huge.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ringside Report Video Email Bag Show on the Ringside Report Web TV channel. Now, here's your host, the man with the fedora, the pinky ring, and the New York thing, Bad Brad Berkwitt.
Hey folks, welcome back to another RSR Video Email Bag Show on the Ringside Report Web TV channel. Now I want to welcome all my new subscribers. I want to encourage you to subscribe. Tell your friends about the show so they can subscribe. Because remember, when we hit 1,500 subscribers, we're going to give away this great book, Off the Ropes, the Ron Lyle story, written by the late Candace Talk. Fantastic book I reviewed last year. And all you have to do is hit that button in that corner, whatever corner it's in, forget about it. And subscribe to the Ringside Report Web TV channel. And like I said, tell your friends because, hey, if one of your friends wins the book, then you just borrow it from him or her. And there you go. Forget about it. All right. Now, if you want to be on my next show or a future show, send your questions in to ringsidereport2014@gmail.com. That's ringsidereport2014@gmail.com. Leave your comments below. Like I said, to get respect, you must show respect. We can have a difference of opinion. I'm cool with that. Absolutely cool with that. But again, to get respect, you must show respect, all right? And I'm breaking in these new frames. What do y'all think of it? What do you think of the new frames? Had to get some new frames. Went with some larger ones this time than the smaller ones I used to wear. Just for reading, but hey, got to get used to them. So anyways, on that note, forget about it. Let's get into your great questions on this cold day in St. John, Indiana. Yes, I said Indiana. All right, first up, Bad Brad. Enjoyed your last show with the breakdown of the aftermath of Fury versus Wilder 2. For me, I also want to see Fury versus Joshua before the year ends. For years, people have said boxing is dead. What are your feelings on that statement and the sport as it is today? Thanks for taking my questions. David J. from Honolulu, Hawaii. Oh, Hawaii in the house. David J. Forget about it. Hey, send about 30 degrees, man. I'm not greedy. 30 degrees. Send it my way, man. Actually, send a ticket for Debbie and I, and we'll go to Hawaii and spend some time there in the heat. Thank you for the compliment on the breakdown of the fight. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I also want to see, Fury versus Joshua before the end of the year. I think has the potential to be the biggest fight in boxing history when they do it overseas. All right, so for years, people have said boxing is dead. Boxing will never die. Is it at the level it used to be when I first came into the sport in 1975? So do the math. That's, what, 45 years now. I've been in and around the sport. I've boxed for 3 years, 80 to 83. Been a fan of it for 45 years. I've been writing about it for 23 years, since 1997. Boxing will never die. It is not at the level it used to be, and it may not ever get back there. And I'm going to tell you one of the biggest reasons why. The best no longer fight the best in most cases. And that's a problem. Because if you go back to the 70s and 80s, but let's talk about the 80s because that's when I really came into the sport. It was 75, and I watched it between 75 and 80. But when I started boxing, I really was head over heels in love with the sport. Okay, so Leonard versus Hearns, Hagler versus Hearns, Wilfredo Gomez versus Salvador Sanchez at the lower weights. Okay, great fights like that. Okay, we don't always get those today. Fighters and promoters and managers a lot these days like to protect records. If you get an O, that's not an OK, an O, an O, an O. Your O comes along and it's like it's an end of career. Forget about it. You had fighters with a couple losses on their record and they still became world champions when a title belt really meant something. So that's the biggest reason, in my opinion, that boxing is not at the level it used to be. Now, the other part is UFC. Whether you like the sport or you hate the sport, whatever the case may be. I don't hate the sport. I'm not a fan of it. We do cover it on Ringside Report because we have an audience for it. But I'm not a big UFC fan. I used to cover it cage side with Debbie when we were in Oklahoma. And great fighters in there fight their heart out. I don't let UFC fighters be called bums either, because any man or woman that gets in the cage, it takes a lot of guts. So I'm just not a huge fan of it. I actually think it's very brutal. I don't see the science of it like I do boxing. But if you like MMA, hey, more power to you. I got nothing against you, but I'm going to give the sport a compliment over boxing. They promote their sport much better, and they do something that I mentioned a little bit earlier. The best fight the best, okay? And they have tons and tons of matches each year, okay? So that's taken away from boxing as well. But is it dead? No, it will never be dead. Is it what it used to be today? No. And we also don't have the depth of fighters that we used to have. It is what it is, because you have guys, young guys, going into other sports. Okay, going into basketball. My nose is itching. Is that money? No, that's your hand is itching. What's that mean? I don't know what that means. Forget about it. You have them going into other sports: basketball, football, hockey, baseball, and so on. So that hurts it too. But it's not dead. It's never going to be dead. I've heard that for years. When I used to do TV from 2012 on News Channel 8, I was a boxing analyst on Sports Talk, with the host was Glenn Harris. Was seen in Virginia, Maryland, D.C., and West Virginia. I used to get asked that question a lot. Is boxing dead? No. Forget about it. All right, David J. again sent 30 degrees from Honolulu, Hawaii, to St. John, Indiana for Deborah. All right, next up, Bad Brad. Who are some of your personal favorite boxing trainers and why? Ted T. from Buffalo, New York. Well, Ted T., welcome to the show. Right off the top of my head, bada bing, bada boom, Angelo Dundee. One of my favorite, actually is my favorite boxing trainer. Now, I know a lot of guys will say, well, actually, Angelo didn't always train fighters. He was more of a guy that was a good motivator in the corner, and he broke down fights, but he didn't do a lot of training per se. Well, that may be too, but he was a great motivator. He broke down fights better than most that I've ever seen, but I still consider him a trainer. Angelo Dundee is my personal favorite. He's in my book, Boxing Interviews of a Lifetime. I had a personal relationship with him, and I can tell you this much. Ange was one of the sweetest, if not sweetest, gentlemen I have ever met, and he loved my dad, and my dad loved him. God rest both of their souls. Emmanuel Stewart, God rest his soul, and God rest Angelo's soul, as I just said as well. Emmanuel Stewart, forget about it. Great trainer. Georgie Benton, great trainer. Ray Arcel, great trainer. Hey, modern day, let's give Freddie Roach his props. Freddie Roach is a great trainer. Okay, there's things that Freddie's done that I'm not crazy about. When they did that documentary on Freddie, some of the things he did wasn't feeling, and it wasn't boxing. It was more other stuff that he was doing. I'm not going to get into it. If you know what I'm talking about, great. If not, go watch the documentary, form your own opinion. But as a trainer, good guy. Okay? There's more, but those are the ones that come off the top of my head that I enjoy the most. All right? On that note, again, hit that button and subscribe. Subscribe. You have a chance to win this great book. And tell your friends, because again, if your friends win the book and you don't win the book and you're a little pissed off, just let them finish the book and then they can loan you the book. And it's a win-win situation. And all you have to do is subscribe, because once you do, you're eligible for all future prizes. All right? On that note, we're going to take a short commercial. Hey folks, this is Bad Brad Berkwitt, the host of the RSR Video Email Bag Show on the Ringside Report Web TV channel. Forget about it. And if you would like to sponsor or advertise on the RSR Video Email Bag Show with yours truly, send all business inquiries to Ringside Report 2014@gmail.com. Again, that's Ringside Report 2014@gmail.com. And remember, as Frank Sinatra sang so eloquently, so long ago, the best is yet to come. Hey folks, this is the man with the fedora, the pinky ring, and the New York thing. Forget about it. Bad Brad Berkwitt. And what do Gene Fulmer, Aaron Pryor, James Quick Tillis, Davey Pearl, Joey Bishop, Al Martino, Jerry Vale, and Roy Jones Jr. all have in common? Well, they are some of the many interviews in my boxing book, Boxing Interviews of a Lifetime. Now, if you would like to pick up a copy of this book, go to authorhouse.com. Again, that's authorhouse.com. And if you would like it personally autographed, all you have to do is pay postage and handling to St. John, Indiana, back to your location, and I will sign it the way you would like it, or I can put a personal description that I think you would like in it. All right? Forget about it. All right, folks, I'm now back. And if you forgot, how could you forget? You didn't forget. Did you really forget? Forget about it. You didn't forget. Could you forget? Did you forget? I don't think you forgot. Forget about it. All right. If you did forget who the hell I was. I am the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing. Forget about it. Bad Brad Berkwitt. And this is the RSR Video Email Bag Show. And yes, folks, I did get an IM. We don't take questions via IM, but this isn't going to make my show. But yes, the stuff behind me, let me address that, because someone said, hey, what's all that stuff behind you? I always see it in the background. Well, right here, if you see my thumb pointing and my finger pointing right there, that was when I was in the Navy. I was a second class in that picture in 1995. That's Admiral Borda, who was the finest officer I've ever met. God rest his soul. He was the chief of naval operations. He came to Cuba and he gave a big award ceremony, and I got presented a Navy Achievement Medal from my commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander Ingram, who was another great officer I served under at Naval Security Group Activity, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Forget about it. Say hello to my little... Yeah, that was Tony Montana who said he was from Cuba. I mean, he didn't say it. He was from Cuba. That is the American flag that was flown over NSGA Gitmo, which is short for Guantanamo Bay, for my reenlistment, my third reenlistment in the Navy. Above it is my shadow box. Over here is when I was in Korea with my buddy Ed the Eye Terragano Jr. We were both in the Navy together. We both petty officer first classes, and we both traveled all over because they used to send a car for us, and we covered Korean boxing, and that was Cross Counter Magazine. Gui Jung Moon did a story on me, and there's a picture at the bottom. You can see, maybe you can see. That's Ed and I. I gave him the nickname Ed the Eye because he was my photographer. He did a great job. And above that one is when my book came out, Boxing Interviews of a Lifetime. You can't really see it, or maybe you can see it. I see the numbers. The Waterline covered me in an article about my book because I was still on active duty. And over here is the Washington Informer. I was retired at that time in 2010, and they covered me, my years of boxing, and in the DMV, which is the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. It was a great story. And right here, one last one, because I know you asked, right here is a article I did. I used to write for the Italian Tribune for several years. My friend, God rest his soul, Ace Alagna, was the publisher and owner of the Italian Tribune. He passed away in 2000. He also is in The Godfather. He played Al Martino's, Johnny Fontaine's manager. He didn't have any lines, but in the wedding scene at the beginning, he's the one who's got his arms around the two twins, and he's giving them a kiss on the cheek. That was my buddy Ace Alagna, and he hired me to write for him. So that's it. That's all of them. All right, thanks for asking. I know that wasn't a question on the show, but it was an I am. All right, last 2 questions of the show go to Bad Brad, longtime viewer and member of your Facebook boxing forum. I have to laugh, but not in a disrespectful way, when these guys attack each other or call a fighter a bum. When I see it, I know you're on them like Jaws was Captain Quint. In my favorite movie of all time, Jaws. Oh, great analogy. Jaws, 1975. I was 7 years old. Saw the movie with my dad and his best friend Billy. I called him my Uncle Billy. And I tell you, that's when people screamed. The movie theaters, we jumped back when we finally saw Jaws. Forget about it. And Jaws jumped up on a boat and ate Robert Shaw, and it was crazy. Forget about it. We appreciate a place where we can speak our boxing minds and not have to deal with insults or racial BS. I also want to get your take on the talks of Wilder being paid to step aside so Fury can face Joshua in a title unification of all the straps. Gerald E. from Tampa, Florida. Another one in a warm place. Gerald, send 30 degrees, man. I'm not greedy. From Tampa, Florida to St. John, Indiana, so Deb and I can warm up. Hey, it's free money, okay? And let's be honest, Fury's going to destroy Wilder in a trilogy. He don't have a chance. Let me take that back. You can always land a punch, but I don't see it happening. I would take the money, because here's the thing. If Deontay comes back and he's successful and has a couple fights, and Fury beats Joshua, he's going to have to fight him. So take the free money, get some fights, go from there, and maybe get a trilogy, which Fury or you don't. But it's free fazools. So I'm all for it. He should step aside. And quite honestly, I don't want to see that match again, the trilogy. I really have no interest in it, because I think Fury won the first match when they made it a draw. He definitely won the second match because he knocked him out, TKO. And Joshua versus Fury is the fight that needs to be made, because, again, the best fight the best. All right, Gerald, there's your answer. Last question goes to Bad Brad. I am so pumped to read today that Regis Prograis will face Maurice Hooker on April 17th. Now, that is a great fight on paper. What are your thoughts? Jim A. from Millington, Tennessee. Millington, Tennessee in the house. Welcome, Jim. I saw that today, too. Great news. Both ex-champions only have 1 loss on their record. Okay, I think that it should be a great fight. I'd have to lean towards Regis in that fight, beating Maurice Hooker, but it could go either way. Probably go to a decision win, but I'm going with Regis in that, Prograis, to win that fight, but I'd look forward to it as well. And it's on DAZN, or DAZN, or DAZN, or whatever the hell, DAZN they call it, which I have to get. I've been kind of lax in getting it, because I'm like, yet another channel you got to pay for, but it's not that expensive, and I'm missing a lot of fights not watching it, even though I do watch them on YouTube when I get the chance. All right, folks, that's another RSR video email bag show. And again, hit the button in whatever corner it's in and subscribe. Tell all your friends to subscribe, because you will be eligible, and they will be eligible, to win this great book and all future boxing prizes. And if they win and you don't win, don't be mad, because whatever they win, if it's a book, I should say, they read it, they loan it to you when they get done. Forget about it. All right? That's another RSR video email bag show in the can. Forget about it. And remember, folks, every act of kindness is a little love we leave behind. Bad Brad out.